So it was 2020, so we all know what that was like to some degree. I was obviously at home a lot and really grateful to have a home at that time that I loved. And I was living with one of my best friends, and we really leaned on each other during that time, which I was like super grateful for. And there was just months that I was just, my studio is in my garage. I was just going into my studio and improvising and chanting and just kind of trying to process and get things out of my body that were happening. So I was singing a lot, and I started this one night, I was just singing over this arpeggio that I had created on one of my synthesizers. I just started singing, all time stop now, all time stop now, just listen. And it came out of just being overwhelmed with everything that was happening. And it's not even just COVID or the pandemic and like all the other stuff that happened that year, but it's just kind of this endless stream, this endless stream and this constant like technological development and this constant feeling like it's just one crisis after another. And every day is like you wake up and you don't know what other catastrophe or what other crisis has happened. And meanwhile, there's like environmental crisis going on, and it's just a lot that we're dealing with all the time. And in that particular moment, I actually did feel like I had some space and time to think about it or to process it, because I wasn't going out and doing 100 million things. Instead, I was just staying at home. So it was just kind of this moment where I was like, okay, all time stop now. Let me just listen. Let me just close my eyes and listen to my body and listen to my friends and listen to the planet, listen to the animals, the earth, and just start there. Like, let's just start there, just listening. And my best friend, so I was living with one of my best friends, and my other best friend was in Myanmar. She had ordained as a Buddhist nun like a year prior to the pandemic starting. And so she was living in Myanmar, super far away, in her own type of isolation that she had elected to join. But I just remember like we would just check in every day or two. We would have these long conversations over WhatsApp or whatever different, ways to communicate. And we would just process everything that was happening. I was like, what's this like over there? And what's this happening over there? And we would just have all of these conversations, really checking in about like really deep, just human stuff. And I ended up, recording some of our conversations, just to kind of listen to and archive and go back to, because I felt like we were really working through some like deep things that felt really important and sweet and tender and helpful, like got me through those hard times. And so the piece, yeah, grew out of that, sort of this need to stop everything we're doing and just reflect, stop everything we're doing and just listen, and also express gratitude for like chosen family and for blood family and for like the people and the energy in our life that keeps us going, and that we can share these moments with. So that's kind of the piece. Just started like with just building up these improvisations in the studio, and then also these conversations with my friend. And I was just kind of documenting my life at the time, really. I was just documenting whatever I was doing in the studio, documenting conversations that I was having. And then the piece started to develop from there. I first made a video during a residency while at Coaxial, which is this really amazing artist-run nonprofit space in Los Angeles. Sort of started to develop the work there, and then a year went by, and then I did in 2021. I did a small work in progress live version of the show, because that was starting to happen again, live theater. So I decided to translate it for the stage through LAX Festival, which was put on by Los Angeles Performance Practice, who ended up becoming producers of the show. So it's just been, yeah, over the last 3 years, it's just been kind of been in development. The music has been in development. I've been working on the album also over the course of 3 years. And then another thing that's been happening over the past 3 years is I've been going on long-term meditation retreats as well. So I have sat 3 20-day retreats over the past 3 years. So that's also been this sort of development in my spiritual practice and also in my relationship to time, and the experience of time and the sort of malleability and the spaciousness of time that happens when you are in meditative states or different states of consciousness. So yeah, so there's a lot that sort of has been gelling in this piece, and the piece is still figuring itself out too, you know, like it's still growing and morphing in its own ways as we're now getting like deep into the rehearsal process, and the cast has now finally been figured out and settled down. So yeah,